The message came at 2:47 a.m. Tasha, there's a job. Big money. No questions asked. She was sitting on her bed in her one-room apartment, the ceiling fan whining like it shared her exhaustion. Lagos hadn't been kind lately. 2 months of unpaid rent, her sister's school fees piling up, and her boss at the lounge cutting her hours. The text came like a promise she didn't know she'd been waiting for. She dialed the number attached. A man answered on the first ring. His voice was smooth, commanding, the kind that didn't beg, it ordered. Miss Tasha, you'll meet us tomorrow. Dress simply. Come alone. The next morning, a black SUV picked her up from the junction. Inside, 3 people waited. A woman in glasses, a man with a laptop, and another with a face that didn't smile. They introduced themselves only by initials. You'll call me M, the woman said. We work for people who need things done discreetly. They slid a folder across the table. Inside, photos of a man, tall, handsome, refined, stepping out of a luxury car. His name printed neatly beneath. Damien Cole, CEO of Coltech Industries. Your mission is simple, M said, her tone sharp as glass. Get close to him. Make him trust you. Make him love you if you can. Then make him bend. Tasha frowned. You want me to seduce him? M leaned in. We want you to own him. The reward written on the last page made Tasha's throat tighten. More money than she'd ever seen. Enough to erase every debt, every struggle. But there was one rule. No attachments. No emotions. She signed the contract with trembling fingers. That night, as she stood before her cracked mirror, rehearsing a new name, Maya, she whispered to her reflection, it's just a job. Don't catch feelings. But something in her chest already ached, as if a warning had been written beneath her heartbeat. The first time Damien Cole saw her, she was on her knees, wiping spilled coffee off the marble floor outside his office. Her head was bent low, her hair tucked under a faded scarf, and her uniform looked 2 sizes too big. She didn't look like the type of woman men like him noticed. And that was exactly the plan. Tasha, now Maya, had spent a week studying his routines. The time he arrived, the way he liked his coffee, how long he stayed in meetings, even the route he took to his private elevator. She had memorized every detail the way a thief memorized a vault. That morning, she made sure to be there when his assistant dropped her cup. Oh, I'm sorry, sir, she said quickly, her voice soft, her Yoruba accent mild and humble. Damien barely looked at her. Be careful next time, he muttered, brushing past. But as he entered his office, something about her politeness lingered. She didn't chase attention like others did around him. She was quiet, almost invisible, and that intrigued him more than he cared to admit. Over the next few days, Maya became part of the office rhythm. She greeted everyone with shy smiles, always working, never gossiping. One afternoon, Damien walked out of a meeting looking unusually tense. She noticed. Sir, should I bring you water? She asked softly. He looked up, surprised. You remember how I like it. Cold with ice. 3 cubes, she said, then blushed as if embarrassed to know. For the first time he smiled. You pay attention. That's rare around here. From that moment, her plan began to unfold. She wasn't just cleaning the office anymore. She was cleaning her way into his mind. The little gestures, the warm glances, the humility that melted walls his wealth had built. But when she lay in bed that night, remembering the way he smiled, she caught herself smiling too. And that terrified her more than the mission itself. Maya became his quiet comfort. Every morning she was there before anyone else, polishing the glass walls, humming softly under her breath. Damien began to notice the small things, the way she tucked stray hair behind her ear, the gentle scent of her soap, the calmness she carried that made the chaos of boardrooms feel distant. He started talking to her. Casual things at first, weather, traffic, coffee. Then deeper. You ever feel like people only care about what you have? He asked one late evening, leaning against his desk as she wiped the glass nearby. She glanced at him, her voice barely above a whisper. Maybe they just never see who you are. Her words hit him like a quiet storm. No one ever spoke to him like that. Not his staff, not even the women he dated. They all wanted something. But she just listened. That night, she reported back to her handlers through a hidden phone. "He's warming up to me," she whispered. "Good," the voice replied. "Then it's time. You'll convince him to sign a partnership with G&M Logistics. Just make it sound like a suggestion." Her stomach twisted. "That could ruin his profit margin," she said. "You're not here to think," the voice snapped. "You're here to deliver." The next day, she found herself standing before Damien's desk again. He looked exhausted, the weight of leadership dulling the sharpness in his eyes. "Sir, have you ever heard of G&M Logistics?" she asked innocently, setting down his coffee. "Someone said they're reliable." He nodded vaguely. "I'll have the team check them out." Her chest tightened. She had done it, her first real betrayal. That night, she sat by her window, staring at the rain washing over Lagos streets. She told herself it was just a job, just money, just survival. But the image of Damien smiling at her that morning refused to fade. And for the first time Maya, the girl who came to deceive, couldn't tell where the lie ended and the truth began. The night it happened, the city was drowning in rain. The office was almost empty. Only the hum of computers, the soft flicker of lightning, and Damien still buried in files. Maya lingered, pretending to clean, her heart thudding too loudly in her chest. He looked up when the thunder cracked. "You should go home before it gets worse." She smiled faintly, clutching her mop. "The buses stop when it rains. I'll wait a bit." He nodded, loosening his tie. "Then sit. No need to stand there." She hesitated before perching on the chair opposite him, her wet lashes glistening under the dim office light. He tried to focus on his laptop, but his eyes kept finding her reflection in the glass wall, the curve of her neck, the way she tucked her legs beneath her, the soft warmth she carried that made the whole room feel alive. When the lights flickered from the storm, she flinched. He chuckled softly. "Don't tell me the fearless Maya is scared of thunder." Her lips parted, trembling slightly. "Maybe I just need company." Something broke between them. A line that had been stretched too thin for too long. He crossed the room slowly, stopping in front of her. The scent of his cologne mixed with rain and tension. She looked up at him, eyes wide, vulnerable yet dangerous. "Damien," she whispered. He didn't answer. His hand reached out, brushing a droplet from her cheek. His touch lingering just a little too long. And then, before either of them could think, his lips found hers. Slow at first, then desperate, hungry, like years of loneliness had found a cure. When he pulled away, breathless, guilt flickered in her eyes. "We shouldn't." He silenced her with another kiss, deeper this time. "I don't care." That night, the storm outside couldn't compete with the one they created inside his office. And when dawn broke, Damien Cole, the man who once trusted no one, was now wrapped around the very woman sent to destroy him. Morning light crept through the blinds, falling softly across Damien's chest. He was still asleep, his arm draped lazily over her waist. Maya lay beside him, staring at the ceiling, her heart thudding with confusion. The warmth of his body against hers felt too real, too dangerous. She had crossed the line, and for the first time it didn't feel like victory. He stirred, eyes opening slowly, his voice still husky. "You're awake." She smiled faintly. "Didn't sleep much." "Neither did I." He turned to face her, his expression softer than she'd ever seen. "You have this way of quieting everything in my head." Later that evening, they stayed in his office after hours again. No seduction this time, just silence, comfort, and honesty. Damien spoke about his mother's death, how he built his company from scratch to prove himself to a world that doubted him. "But success can be lonely," he said, staring at the city lights below. "People only see the money, not the man." Something inside Maya broke at that moment. She had memorized his weaknesses for manipulation, but now each one made her ache. She saw not a target, but a man who had forgotten how to be loved. When he finally pulled her into his arms, she didn't resist. It wasn't part of the mission anymore. It was something else, something her employers never prepared her for. Later that night, her burner phone buzzed. A message flashed on the screen. Phase 2. Push him to invest in G&M again. Bigger transaction this time. Don't fail us. Her hands shook as she read it. She deleted the message without replying and dropped the phone in the drawer. For the first time, she disobeyed them. As she lay beside Damien, his arms still around her, a strange peace filled her chest, until the guilt crept back, whispering that love built on lies would always end in fire. The message came in the dead of night. No words, just a picture. It was her sister, blindfolded, with a note taped to her chest. Deliver, or she disappears. Maya froze. The phone slipped from her hand and hit the floor. Her throat tightened as tears blurred her vision. They had found her weakness. They knew. The next text followed seconds later. We warned you, Tasha. You work for us. Remember why you took this job. She wanted to scream, but the sound died in her chest. She had thought she could outsmart them, that love could rewrite a deal made with the devil. But love didn't pay kidnappers. Love didn't protect family. The next morning, she went to work with eyes that told no story. Damien noticed. You're quiet today, he said gently, brushing her arm. Talk to me, Maya. What's wrong? She forced a smile. Just tired. He frowned, unconvinced. You've been tired a lot lately. Her phone buzzed again. This time the message was sharper. You have 48 hours. Get him to authorize the foreign transfer. Or she's gone. Maya excused herself, rushing to the restroom. Her reflection looked like a stranger, the once shy cleaner now a woman trapped between two wars, one of loyalty and one of love. She splashed cold water on her face, whispering, Don't cry. Not here. That evening, Damien invited her to dinner, trying to cheer her up. Candlelight, wine, soft music. It should have felt romantic, but guilt choked her appetite. When he reached across the table and said, You can trust me with anything, her tears finally fell. She wanted to tell him everything, the lies, the setup, the danger, but fear silenced her. That night, while he slept peacefully beside her, she sat awake, staring at her phone, her fingers trembling over the keyboard. If she obeyed, she'd lose him. If she refused, she'd lose her sister. And for the first time, Maya, the girl who thought she could play the game, realized she'd become the pawn that everyone wanted to sacrifice. Maya didn't sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw her sister's terrified face and Damien's trusting smile, both haunting her like ghosts from two different worlds she could no longer keep apart. By morning, she'd made a decision that tasted like poison. She dressed quietly, leaving Damien still asleep in bed, his arm draped over the pillow where she used to be. The city was waking up. Traffic horns, shouts from vendors, the smell of fried akara in the air. Yet everything felt distant. Her heart beat only to the rhythm of dread. She walked into Coltec that morning not as Maya the cleaner, not as Maya the lover, but as Tasha, the liar. Her phone buzzed again. Today is your last chance. 6 p.m. or she dies. She wanted to throw the phone out the window, but she couldn't. Instead, she walked straight into Damien's office. He was at his desk, his eyes lighting up when he saw her. I was just about to call you, he said warmly. You left so early. Damien, she interrupted, her voice shaking. We need to talk. He frowned, instantly sensing the tremor in her tone. What's wrong? She closed the door, her pulse hammering so hard she could hear it in her ears. Her lips parted, but the words wouldn't come. The truth was heavy, heavier than any guilt she'd carried before. I haven't been honest with you, she whispered finally. My name isn't Maya. He froze. What do you mean? My real name is Tasha. I was sent here to get close to you to make you trust me. Everything you've lost lately. It's my fault. The silence that followed could have shattered glass. Damien's face went blank, his jaw tightening. You're joking. Tears welled in her eyes. I wish I was. He stood slowly, disbelief turning to anger. So you were part of those attacks? The fake merger? The leaks? She nodded, sobbing now. They have my sister, Damien. They threatened to kill her if I didn't. Stop! He shouted, slamming his fist against the desk. The sound made her flinch. You think that justifies what you did? You played me. You made me. His voice cracked before he could finish. She crossed the room and fell to her knees before him. Please. I didn't mean to fall in love with you. That part wasn't supposed to happen. He turned away, his shoulders shaking. For a long moment, the only sound in the room was her quiet sobbing. Then his voice came, low, broken, full of something between fury and heartbreak. Love, he said bitterly. You call this love? Yes, she whispered. Because now I can't do what they want. Even if it means dying for it. He turned to face her, eyes red, chest heaving. Then let's make sure they pay for it. Her breath hitched. What? I said let's finish what you started, but this time together. His tone was steady now, dangerous in its calm. You've already destroyed my heart. You won't destroy my spirit. If they want war, we'll give them one. For the first time in days, Maya's tears stopped. A faint spark of hope, or maybe madness, flickered inside her chest. She nodded slowly, still trembling. And in that moment, the hunter and the hunted became allies. What neither of them knew was that the people she betrayed had already found out, and the next blow would come faster than either of them could imagine. The storm came without warning, not from the sky, but from men in suits, briefcases filled with forged documents, and news headlines that bled betrayal. By the next morning, Damien Cole's empire was collapsing. His accounts frozen, contracts terminated, and a boardroom filled with vultures demanding his resignation. Every headline screamed the same thing. Coltech CEO under investigation for fraud and illegal transfers. Maya watched from the shadows of his penthouse, her heart breaking with every broadcast. It's all my fault, she whispered, trembling. They're burning you for what I started. Damien's eyes were cold but focused, not on her, but on the war unfolding around him. Then we'll burn them back. 4 days they hid in plain sight. He reached out to the few loyal people left, gathering documents, tracing bank trails, recording calls. Maya, with every ounce of guilt, used her contacts from her handler's world to feed him information. Together they built a trap, a digital snare that would expose the entire network funding the conspiracy. But the closer they got, the more dangerous it became. One night, as they sat on the floor of the living room, papers scattered everywhere, Maya's phone buzzed again. We warned you. You think you can outsmart us. Attached was another photo, this time not of her sister, but of Damien's car parked outside his home, a red X drawn across the windshield. Her blood turned to ice. They know where we are. Damien didn't flinch. He stood, tall and calm, the way men look when they've already made peace with what's coming. Then it's time, he said. Time to end this. At midnight, they drove to the address she'd once gone for her missions, a quiet warehouse near the docks. The air smelled of salt and secrets. Inside, 3 of her former handlers waited, smug and certain. Well, Em said, her lipstick sharp as her smile. The lovers return. Damien stepped forward. You wanted me under your control. You have no idea who you're playing with. He threw a folder onto the table. Bank statements, emails, recordings. You're already exposed. The authorities have everything. Em laughed. You think we don't control the authorities too? Maya's voice trembled. Not all of them. We sent everything anonymously. To the press. For the first time, fear cracked Em's perfect posture. Phones started buzzing all around them. Headlines already spreading, names already leaking. Damien reached for Maya's hand. It's over. But then came the gunshot. A sharp sound that silenced the world. Maya gasped as Damien stumbled backward, clutching his side. Another man had fired, one of the guards, desperate to stop them. "No!" she screamed, catching him as he fell. The room exploded into chaos. Men shouting, running, disappearing into the night as sirens wailed in the distance. She pressed her hands against his wound, sobbing, "Stay with me, please. Don't you dare leave me." His fingers brushed her cheek weakly. "Tasha," he whispered, her real name, for the first and last time. "You saved me. Even if it killed us both." By the time the police arrived, the conspirators were gone. The evidence had gone public, clearing Damien's name but exposing everything Maya ever was. He survived barely. But when he woke up in the hospital 2 days later, she was gone. No trace, no goodbye. Only a note left on his bedside table. "If I stay, they'll kill you again. But know this, Damien. I loved you long before I stopped lying." Months later, a charity foundation appeared under a new name, the Cole Trust, dedicated to helping victims of manipulation and corporate exploitation. And somewhere far away, in a small town by the sea, a woman watched the news, tears streaming down her face. She whispered to the waves, "Maybe one day you'll forgive me." And for the first time in her life, Tasha wasn't anyone's pawn anymore. Not a spy, not a liar, not a seductress. Just a woman who lost everything to find what love truly meant.